The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
Wait. Time out. Before you begin, Ryan, I have a question. What do you guys think of the goldfish and raisins combination? Because I've been getting made fun of by you, Ryan. And
I want to hear what Brian says
Brian.
first. I want to hear what Brian says first.
Bad.
What?
No way.
No.
Raisins? No, I'm out.
No. You're telling me sweet and salty doesn't work for goldfish and raisins?
Not that sweet and salty.
That's sweet and salty.
There's cheese in
great.
there.
No, I will die on this hill. Goldfish and raisins is a great snack idea.
I don't want cheese. I'm eating raisins.
What the? There's barely any cheese in goldfish.
No.
In regular goldfish, you're telling me you wouldn't enjoy that combination?
No, I would not.
Ryan just has the face of disappointment right now. I love this.
Sociopathic behavior.
Anyway, I wasn't going that far. Love what you like, but
I have been deceived. I have been deceived.
You knew this before you asked that question.
Okay,
right?
Come on.
No, but I didn't think Brian would be on your side, Ryan, in this regard. As the majority of the Belly Up Brigade has turned on me, has deceived me, has played their trap card amongst me. No,
this just in. Staniel Smooth has been banished to another network.
What?
He's been trained to another network for future considerations and cash.
That's all we could get after that announcement. Couldn't even get a draft pick.
What you have done has made God very unhappy.
That's what God thinks. That's what God thinks of your combination, sir. Anyway, welcome to the Three Rails Metro Hockey Podcast.
You suck.
That's how we start.
You suck. You suck.
We are presented by the Belly Up Sports Media Network. We are proud members. I'm not sure for how long, though. My name's Ryan McCarthy. I'm one of the hosts. And with me are my fellow Metro hockey enthusiasts, Brian Germanaro of Belly Up Sports. He's a writer, also co-host of the 3rd and 10 podcast. And we have the notorious sociopath, Staniel Smooth.
Whoa.
The Department of BS.
Hold on, that's Dr. Professor Sociopath to you, mofo.
Our apologies.
Professor Chaos.
$1 billion.
And all right, well, folks, we're off to a great start. It's been a while since we recorded three.
Yeah, whose fault is that, Ryan?
Yeah, really.
I am up to it. I had a lot of homework and life just got in the way, but that's okay. We're back tonight, and I was harangued long enough by our two co-hosts. Well, one of our co-hosts. To say, hey boss, when are we going to record again? Boss, when are we going to record again? We're recording tonight.
Well, excuse me, princess.
Yeah.
I'm so pretty.
Wait.
Anyway.
Well, excuse me, princess. Not a lot of people are going to get that reference.
Nope. But before we go on, just want to remind you about our social media channels. Right up here on screen if you're watching, facebook.com/NoCardsREQ, Twitter, Instagram, the scarcely used and soon to be banned TikTok @NoCardsREQ, YouTube.com/@NoCardsREQ, and subscribe to the podcast wherever you podcast, whether it be the OG form or this podcast, on wherever you podcast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker, Amazon Music, iHeart, TuneIn, Pandora, and get yourself notified on Twitter, so that we're choosing to call X, and on YouTube. That way you know when show announcements go up and when the recording of this show goes up on YouTube. And again, rate, review, comment. We love your comments. We'll read them. We'll even read them on the air. How awesome they are, or how cruel, unusual, or how much you call Staniel Smooth a psycho for the goldfish and raisins combination. We'll still read them. We'll still talk about them. But in the
I feel
meantime,
like the punching bag here belly up of these past few weeks.
hey, you brought this upon
did it to
yourself.
yourself.
pal.
I don't care. I will die on this hill.
Well, have fun dying that hill.
I
So
will.
we're gonna-
I'll be like Morgan Freeman in the bucket list.
Wow, dark. All right, so we're gonna. This is the 9th episode of the Three Rails Metro Hockey Podcast, and
He
we've
was
done this in the
buried on a
OG
mountain.
show.
And it was against the law.
We've done this in the OG show. We're going through our favorite athletes to ever wear the number X, since this is our 9th episode of this series. But I pondered the question to my fellow panelists, and want to talk about our favorite hockey players from our respective teams to ever wear the number 9. And I'm going to start off with Mr. Smooth over here, since I've kind of, it's right. He's been kind of a punching bag for long enough, so I'm going to have him open with his
Screw you
we'll give
guys.
him
I'm
the
going
favorite.
home.
You guys, I'm good him with his favorite New York Islander to ever wear the number 9, or the most prestigious
Hall of Famer. Clark Gillies, Jethro himself.
Rest in peace, Clark.
Rest in peace. Hall of Famer, by the way.
Yes,
Deservedly Hall of Famer and 4-time champion.
he was actually one of my favorite guests on the Rod Peterson show. He sounded like
He was a great dude.
guy. Yeah.
He was genuinely a great guy. Him and Bossy both.
Yes.
A lot of those guys from the 80s teams were like genuinely good dudes. Except Billy Smith for some reason. You can't get a hold of him.
Probably out in the woods somewhere.
He's probably just with the little woodland creatures.
Oh no, not the
Not
lovely
no,
creatures.
Not those woodland creatures. Sparrowy the sparrow and Chipmunky the chipmunk, Squirrel the squirrel, Rabbity the rabbit.
Yay, blood orgy! It's just that line gets me every time. This is great. This is so unnecessary, but it's great.
Sacrifice me to the devil. Brian, how about you? Your favorite Ranger or most notable Ranger to wear the number 9?
Yeah, so a little bit of a problem for me. The last Ranger to wear number 9 was Pavel Bru in 2002 when I was 2 years old. So
Pavel
because they
Drury was
retired-
on the Rangers? I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Yep.
2003 was on the Rangers.
I just mistaken it for the Canucks.
That was his last stop. No, he went to the Canucks. Then they went to Florida. Then he got traded to the Rangers because that was when the Rangers.
Right.
That was when the Rangers played Wild Wild West. Yeah, pew pew pew, with their money, trying to sign big guys and trying to put them all in a big pot and see how they came out. And
They're like, let's just try to make a super team, and it just didn't work. So for me, the most notable Ranger is Adam Graves, who wore number 9. I'm part of the '94 team.
ugh,
Numbers retired, and Andy Bathgate, who also has his number 9 retired, played in the 50s and 60s.
fascinating. As for me, there are 22 Devils, between the Kansas City Scouts, Colorado Rockies, and New Jersey Devils, 22 players have ever worn the number 9. Such luminaries include Wilf Paymont, Lenny McDonald, Kirk Muller.
What a glorious mustache, Lenny McDonald.
Oh my God, he still has it too. He still
Yes!
has
Does he
it.
really?
I love it. Yes, he does.
Yes!
Oh,
Put your hands up in the air.
You also got Neil Broughton, who scored the game-winning goal in Game 4 of the 1995 Stanley Cup Final. 30 years this year. My God, I'm old. Brendan Morrison, Zach Parise, but I have to say that this number 9 has not been worn since this young man came through New Jersey in one of the greatest 1-for-1 trades ever. Taylor Hall.
English?
Taylor Hall wore number 9 from 2017 to 2020. Was the league MVP in the 2017-2018 season. Almost broke the single season record. By the way, again, love to iterate this. The New Jersey Devils have never had a 100-point scorer in their team's history. Taylor Hall came close, and he basically put the Devils on his back that season.
That
and
still
brought them to
blows
the
my
playoffs.
mind.
mm-hmm.
How Taylor Hall didn't even get to 100 points. He still won the MVP. That is
That's how good he
unbelievable.
was.
Because he made that much of an impact on that Devils team. If he wasn't on the team, they don't make the playoffs that year. And they were gentlemen swept by the Tampa Bay Lightning in that Stanley Cup playoff. So But yeah, and he's the last Devil to wear the number 9.
Where is he now?
I believe he's currently in Chicago.
Yes. Yeah, he signed a 1-year deal this offseason, didn't he?
He signed a 1-year deal last year. Then he tore his ACL.
Oh, okay.
And you know what? Let's do some mealtime research.
He
Taylor
is
Hall.
with the Blackhawks.
Yep. number
Brian is
71.
correct.
Yay, good for me.
Hey.
So yeah, that's his career. He actually wore number 4 with the Edmonton Oilers before being traded to the New Jersey Devils in the offseason of 2017 for Adam Larson. Adam Larson's currently a member of the Seattle Kraken.
Yeah, he's still with the Kraken. Yep.
Still with the Kraken.
Do you remember that whole day of trades that happened? So it was Taylor Hall for Adam Larson straight up.
Yep.
And then there was also Shea Weber for PK Subban straight up.
Oh my God, that was that day?
Yep.
That was that day.
Wow.
Yes, that whole day was filled with trades. And then who else was there? Jonathan Druin for Mikhail Sergachev. That was the other one.
Yep. 'Cause he went to. Was he traded from
went from
Colorado to Tampa?
No, he went from Montreal to Tampa. Druin went from Tampa to Montreal.
Hold on. Real time research.
There was another trade. I'm trying to remember what the hell happened.
No, he went from Tampa Bay to Montreal, and then he was traded to Colorado in 2020.
Yeah, that was Jonathan Druin. I'm talking Mikhail Sergachev.
Right. Oh, I was just trying to make sure we were accurate.
Yeah, I remember the whole Druin.
Okay.
I remember the whole Druin saga like it was yesterday.
Yeah,
'cause
kid got a bad rap. Man.
He really did. He really did. But it's whatever. What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Not my problem.
Nope.
Nope.
That also off season was the infamous Andrew Ladd 7-year contract by the New York Islanders.
Ooh.
Yep.
How'd that work out for you?
We don't talk about Bruno. No. Oh.
Well, speaking of the Islanders, let's go to the island. All right, Mr. Smooth, you have been holding back a lot of with the exception of your appearance, on the 1420 podcast a few days ago.
Well,
you've been holding back some stuff with the Islanders. Actually, for the past month.
Oh boy. When did we last record?
Before Christmas.
We last recorded. I will tell you.
Please find out.
Please hold.
Was it before the Sabres loss or after?
Oh, doggone it. Hang on.
Just made the research harder.
Did you turn to Philip Rivers?
We last recorded on December 16th, so it's been just about a month.
God.
So since then, the Islanders have lost 4-0 to the Hurricanes, then beat the Maple Leafs 6-3, and then proceed to lose to the 13-game winless in a row Buffalo Sabres 7-1. Yeah. Since then, after the Sabres lost, they destroyed the Penguins 6-3, and then the following night lost to Pittsburgh 3-2, then beat Toronto 3-1, and then in arguably the worst game I've ever seen played this season, aside from the Sabres loss, the Islanders lost 2-1 at home to the Maple Leafs, and they couldn't score to save their damn lives. Even if you had a big fat from San Antonio damsel in distress right in your face, you still couldn't save her. That's a Charles Barkley reference, by the way. No? Well, tough crowd, I see.
That
was a little late, Ryan.
Took me a minute. I was doing some research. Forgive me. I'm the host of the show. I'm the producer, and I gotta make sure everything's copacetic.
This is true. This is true. This is true, ladies and gentlemen.
Tough being the ball.
Tough being the ball. But a lot of Islander fans, since that Sabres loss, have been calling for Loosehead. And
Widely so.
deserve
At
at this point
the season started.
at this particular point, the rumors have since come out of the Elias Pettersson trade discussions, and he's being linked to the Islanders, and The rumor is that Noah Dobson is so far included in the deal. I don't know to what extent, but friend of Time to BS Stefan Rosner, who is an NHL.com beat writer for the Islanders, was reporting on this deal. It says, hey, Lou has talked to Patrick Allvin of the Canucks, who, by the way, I would be completely stunned if they trade Pettersson, because, you know, the Canucks are stupid. But blame the ownership. What are you going to do? Here's my thing. Who do you think gets the biggest slice of blame pie for this season? But if you look at the standings, they're not that far off from the playoffs, from a playoff spot, which is a miracle considering the fact of how tight the East is this season.
And thank you for that foreshadowing. We're going to discuss that later.
A miracle. Who do you think gets the biggest slice of blame pie in this discussion? Is it Lou? Is it the players? Is it the coaching? Or is it ownership?
Yes. Yes, yes, and yes, and yes.
I don't think you can blame the coaching here.
Yeah, that's true.
Because Patrick Waugh, in his defense, just got here, and he's willing to, say, put his balls on the line and balls to the wall. Wall ball, handball, all the balls, and
All ball.
All balls.
all balls, flaming balls, great balls of fire.
Our
And
balls are bigger.
indeed, Buffalo Soldier. How was that the Undertaker cue?
Because Bob Marley's dead.
Oh my god.
That was a South Park joke. Okay, fine, whatever. But I digress. But as I was saying, I don't think you could put a lot of the blame on the players, but a lot of the blame does go to Lou for this. Because in the end, he is the one that signed these players to these contracts.
Yeah.
If you're going to trade some players for Elias Pettersson, it's going to inevitably delay the inevitable, and that is I don't know, but some dick for brains on Twitter said, hey, they should fire Lou and bring in Ray Shero, and it took me every single ounce of my well-being to not completely trash this kid and lash out this guy, somehow get this kid's number, and then call this guy, cursing him out and telling him how much of a dipwad he is.
You had me, then you lost me there, but you should definitely gone after him on Twitter.
I would have gone after him on Twitter, and I would have said, please tell me more how Ray Shero would be a perfect fit for the Islanders, who didn't destroy the New Jersey Devils. Ryan, can you attest to this?
I can attest to this.
Thank you.
These are facts.
So what's next? You're going to bring in John Davidson?
Oh,
No.
God.
No, please. Like, this is a major problem that, like, what gives me a lot of hope is, like, okay, they're starting to play better. They had a really nice win in Vegas a few days ago. 4-0 shutout win in Vegas. That's a really good team in the Golden Knights. That's a really good Vegas team.
Very good team.
And they had a last-second goal great against Utah to beat the Utah Yeti. Let's just call him the Yeti at this point. It's going to be the Yeti. And that's a great name.
Mm-hmm.
They play they're at home against Ottawa tomorrow night. And I don't know. I'm at my confidence level is like, It's like at a 7 or a 6 at this point. Because I'm a fan. I'm an optimistic fan. But there's a part of me that's going to go, when will the suffering end? Congratulations, Islander fans. You want to know what the suffering was like from 1994 to 2018? You got it. 25 years of stupidity. That is what it is like to be an Islander fan. From 1984 to 2018, this franchise was a fucking doormat. I'm sorry, it was. It was. It flat out was. No one wanted to come here. And, like, what gives me a lot of fear is if you do fire Lou, you lose the stability of, you know, the franchise stability. Right? Am I in the right or am I in the wrong to say that?
No, you're right.
You're absolutely right.
Do you really want to risk franchise instability because you don't like the way he handles a team? I'm sorry, this is not NHL 25 or Madden, where you can just trade for Connor McDavid whenever you want. Screw fantasy sports. I'm sorry, Kevin. If you're watching, I apologize.
Shout out, Kevin.
It's come on. Like, what do you want me to do? And there was a comment on one of my YouTube videos. They said, so you think fans are not allowed to have opinions on what the GM should do? Or whatever? I'm going to have to find this comment exactly before I complete. Are you saying fans shouldn't have opinions because they can't change anything or changing the GM won't help? Right? Like,
Right.
who's the sociopath here? Who's the psychopath?
You are. You eat goldfish and raisins.
Shut up. Nope.
Not when it comes to the Islanders. Uh-oh. Gone black. There he is.
I have a lens cover on this thing, by the way.
Oh.
Yeah, fancy. But I don't know. My optimism meter is at a 6 to a 7 right now because I'm an optimistic fan. I try to be. You know, I watch the games. I do. To be fair,
I
could be Chicago. I could be a Blackhawks fan, but I choose not to. Because, well, I'm an Islander fan by choice and by birth. It's also my bicep.
Yeah, it's tough to get that tattoo removed if you're defecting.
Yeah, it's not fun. But I don't know. I'm curious to see where the team goes from, and if they do decide to make a jump for Elias Pettersson, if that trade does go through, which I'm fascinated to see if that does. Fascinated by that, because the Canucks would be stupid to trade Pettersson. Stupid.
Considering all the stuff, and I've listened to the sheet with Jeff Merrick, who is it's an awesome podcast. He knows a lot of stuff. Great dude, loves hockey. You can tell in his podcast. You asked in our Slack group. You said, "What do you think about the Pettersson rumors?" I said, "I'll believe it when I see it. Otherwise, they're just that, rumors." And we've heard about all the things that have happened in that locker room between him and JT Miller. Now, JT Miller can be a little bit rough on guys, but
so trade Miller. Problem solved.
They gotta get wrong. They gotta trade one of those guys because look at their salaries on the spot track real quick.
I will tell you the salaries on the top of my head. JT Miller, look at Miller's contract. Miller's contract is like $8 or $9 million. Elias Pettersson is getting paid $11.6 million per year on an 8-year contract for the Canucks. It starts this year.
Yeah. Elias Pettersson, $11.6 million, and JT Miller, $8 million.
And Miller's got a full no trade clause, right? Or no movement.
So you're telling me
JT Miller has a no trade clause.
No trade clause. Okay.
So you're telling me you
Pettersson
can't find
Pettersson has a no movement clause.
You're telling me you can't find a way to go to JT Miller and says, "Hey, we will ask you to waive your no trade clause if we trade you to Vegas." For some perfect example, I don't know, just throw out the top of my head. Vegas, I don't know. San Jose. Hey, the beaches are nice in San Jose. It's not on fire.
Who's Vegas going to put on long-term IR?
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, that's right. I used that joke.
Yeah, I know. Jesus, I don't know how they do it, but whatever. I mean, to be fair, you could trade him to Tampa. They'll just find a way to circumvent the cap again.
Fair.
Yeah, exactly.
Long-term IR.
Responsible for 2 back-to-back cups against the Islanders. Should have had one, damn it. But whatever. So
is it a good time to go to the city?
Please do.
All right, let's go to the city.
Okay, this I am dying to hear
Brian?
from you.
Brian,
Oh God,
Brian,
you have my permission to cook.
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 and use extra spices. You.
Spices. By the way, I do love the new setup that you guys are not on screen, so it just sounds like voices are talking to me. Very, very funny for the viewer at home. Just
By
Is
the way,
there anybody out
underrated
there?
underrated song, "Sweating Bullets" by Megadeth. It's all about the voices in his head. Go right ahead.
Is there anybody out there?
Yeah, no. So 2025, the Rangers are actually off to a decent start. They're 4-1-1, but my biggest fear, and this is a fear every Ranger fan should have, is that this is going to trick our moron owner James Dolan into this team is better than they actually are, because that's a big reason why they fired Jeff Gordon and John Davidson back in 2018 to 19 now. Dolan didn't like that Gordon was taking too long to build the Rangers, so he fired him and hired Drury because he thought Drury could build the team into a competitor quicker.
How'd that turn out?
Well, kind of right, because we went to 2 Eastern Conference Finals in 3 years, but who's to say Gordon doesn't go out there and get Jack Eichel, and that's the extra piece that put us over the top, and we have a Stanley Cup by now. Because I'm telling you, if Jeff Gordon is not fired, he would have moved heaven and earth to bring Jack Eichel to New York. He wanted Jack Eichel more than anything else. Now, that's Drury probably did too, but he wasn't as, willing to move on from pieces like Capo Caco back then as he is, now, as Capo Caco is now a member of the Seattle Kraken, and showing us why he was the second overall pick with a very, very hot start out there. Shocking. When you give a young, talented player ice time, they actually do well. Maybe it's a lesson we can finally learn. We have, guys like Offit and Pierre and, Brett Berard coming up. But anyway, I digress. Look, I know the East is close. I know we're really only 4 points out of a wild card spot, but this is not a good Ranger team. It's not. It's not. If the Rangers, by some miracle of God, make it to the playoffs, what are we in for? A gentleman's sweep by whoever wins the Atlantic or wins the President's Trophy in the East? That's what we're in for. So
if you play Toronto, however, you have a chance to beat the Maple Leafs because the Maple Leafs can't win anything to save their damn lives.
That's true, but that's a special circumstance. When we play an actual NHL team and not one that's cursed by the hockey gods, we're getting gentlemen swept in the first round.
The hockey gods show no mercy.
They show no mercy. No, they do not.
No, they do not.
No, they do not. I mean, the Rangers have won one cup in 100 years. Jesus.
Toronto deserves everything they have going for them. I'm sorry.
No,
I'm sorry.
It's they're paying for the sins of Harold Barreld, who's a horrible person. Just awful.
Well, so are the Hamilton Tiger Cats, but I digress. Go ahead, Brian.
Where's Arson when you need it?
What's up?
I'm gonna retract that joke real quick.
Good idea.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Hold on.
What you have done has made God very unhappy.
I am an agent of chaos. You cannot stop me.
Then the animator had a heart attack. And
I'm sorry. It was right there. It was low-hanging fruit, man. You gotta give a dog a bone once in a while.
Oh, boy.
Nope, fair, very fair.
Anyway, Brian.
Anyway, Rangers, they suck. But regardless, this team needs to blow it up. We saw, with the rumors coming out this week that they offered Mika Zibanejad for JT Miller straight up. Why the Canucks would ever want to make that move is beyond me. But, if there's one team that's going to accept that trade, it is the Vancouver Canucks. They are dumb enough to do that. But yeah, no, I wrote an article saying that, Mika could be involved in a JT Miller trade, but it would take Mika plus, prospects or draft picks, not just Mika straight up. I don't care how much salary you retain. But this front office needs to basically, just bite the bullet, release a letter 2.0, and we have to have a discussion one day, not tonight, maybe next week, about how was the letter a failure or not, because this is, this core is a product of said letter, and, they didn't do anything to stop this new drought the Rangers are in. But they need to do that, and they need to let the young guys play. I love what they did, bringing up, claiming Arthur Cali from waivers. I thought that was a really smart move. He was a first-round pick. who's to say, a change of scenery doesn't give him more, confidence and skill, and he can have a turnaround like we're seeing out with Kakko in Seattle. Granted, we probably should have held on to Kakko, but he hated it here, was never going to produce here. That's just me being, having personally really liking Capo Kakko and just not being able to handle the fact that he didn't work out here. I digress. But that's what Rangers need to do. And they also need to give up on the idea that Matt Rempe can be an NHL player. He cannot.
God.
He is so like I went to the Hartford Wolfpack Bridgeport Islanders game when Rempe was at Hartford, and it's so funny watching him in real life because he just can't skate. Like I felt like okay, he's a little over dramatic, like he did get the NHL. No, this guy just cannot play hockey.
He can't.
He's only contributing
But the fan
factor.
base hasn't called for him. Oh boy!
The only thing this guy does is fight and put people in the hospital. That's his only contributing factors.
What's that
to
movie,
Ranger
Goon?
team.
He's the living embodiment of the movie Goon.
He really is. He really is. Only that guy
That's
was
a
like
great reference.
Yes,
It is.
That's a great movie. I need to see the second one. Is that one good or no?
I'm on a roll tonight.
Last of the Enforcers is pretty good. Wasn't as good as the first one, but
It's not as good as the first one. All right.
no.
If
but
people think Matt Martin can't play to save his life, then whatever. What's Matt Rempe?
Look. I'll just say this about Goon 2. I think Jared J. Baruchel laid on the prostate jokes a little too much in that as his character. Other than that, the movie was fine.
And that was the 3 Metro Rail hockey movie reviews.
Yes, coming soon.
Coming soon.
Coming soon to theaters.
Coming soon to a podcast near you. In a world. So Matt Rempe is terrible.
Yeah, Matt Rempe's terrible. Like his only career path is to just be the gimmick guy. The guy that, he's scratched every night, maybe plays 20 games during regular season.
We're gonna put him in for division rivals.
Exactly, yeah. Or like if a Tom Wilson situation happens where Tom Wilson slammed Panarin on the ice and he send that message to that team, Rempe's playing the next day. Other than that, he's not out there. The player the Rangers should be developing is Adam Edstrom, because Edstrom is that big physical forward who can actually play hockey. He's a good goal scorer. He's the kind of guy that you can, be comfortable in your bottom 6 or even on your 4th line and go, okay, he'll bring the physicality, but he's not going to be such a liability when it comes to, basic hockey stuff. He can still do the skating, the passing, the goal scoring, while also bringing that physicality that teams fear. So you're not losing a forward for physicality. You're just not having it at the same level it was with, someone else. But I digress. When I saw that Brett Berard was sent down for Matt Rempe, I almost threw my phone because I'm like, there's no way you can send one of the lone bright spots in this horrific season, one of the only guys that you're actually excited to watch, because outside of him, Igor Shesterkin, and Will Cooley, who are you really, really, really excited to watch on the Rangers? Because Zibanejad doesn't care. Kreider's banged up. Lafreniere's
to that massive contract.
He signed that contract extension. Adam Fox is playing hurt. He won't admit it. Lindgren's a shell of himself. But you're going to send down this, kid. I know he'll get more time in Hartford, but we're not going anywhere. Let him develop at the NHL level, so maybe he could be a key part for this team going to next season.
I have a question for you, Brian.
What's that?
I have a question for you. So, who do you blame? Aside from ownership, because that's too easy, because James Dolan is the punching bag here in this regard.
Yes.
But if you were
JD
to
the straight shots coming soon to your town.
Anyway, I like this camera shot. This is great. You guys are going to have a good time on the YouTube channel. You guys are going to have a blast.
Oh, yeah. No, it's
Just going to go like... But
wait, do it again. Do it again.
Do it again, yes. We need it like this.
Wait, I have to do like Zoolander.
You just unleashed Magnum.
Mother of God. Can you go back to Brian, please? This is uncomfortable.
You like the close-up?
This is uncomfortable. I gotta hide now. Okay.
What's your question? There,
So, who do you blame? Because the slice of blame, the biggest slice of blame pie, goes to who in the Rangers?
The players. I really think it's on players and the veterans like Mika Zibanejad and Chris Kreider and Jacob Trouba. He's on the team because those guys just don't like. We watch Mika Zibanejad every night. They don't care. He
Who
doesn't look like he
signed
cares
these
about
players?
Besides the players?
Who signed these players?
well,
my
Chris-
point.
Chris Drury did sign them.
Are
yes.
you going to fire Chris Drury or are you going to fire Peter Laviolette? Because if we know the NHL like we do, who gets the biggest slice of blame pie according to NHL standards?
Mm-hmm.
It's the coach.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
You
Laviolette's
cannot
gonna be
fire
fired,
Laviolette.
But like, even if
You
you
can't.
fire Laviolette tomorrow, it's not changing anything.
No, it's not. It saves Chris Drury from his job.
Yeah.
It saves Chris Drury from getting fired. From getting fired earlier. But that's the point. It's the Rangers are not going to do it. This is a team that last year won the President's freaking trophy.
Yep.
You're telling me you want to blow this team up now? Like, I'm not disagreeing with your frustrations.
Yeah.
I have watched it from afar. I've discussed it on my programs. I've said the same thing. What the hell do you do? Because
Kind of stuck. You really are.
you are. You're stuck because you have too good of a roster on paper to not compete for a title. But you're also playing like shit to where you should be playing the Chicago Blackhawks every night.
Yeah. And you just signed Igor to a long-term deal, so you can't
That's
go
a
into
killer too.
You can't go into a
Yeah.
5-year
No,
rebuild.
you can't. That's
but
a
you have to
killer.
win with him.
Mm-mm.
Because I want his agent. Because
too.
because he strong-armed you guys into signing for that money. Which, let's be honest here, if you knew you were going to a free fall, dare I say you should have traded him.
You should at least made him available. At least
You should have
be able
inquired
to
about him.
pick up the phone because you could have gotten a franchise-altering haul from him.
5 first-round picks at least.
I remember when we traded
That's
Trouba,
NBA
I was
trade,
going to
but-
bring up that they should explore Igor. Then they gave him the contract extension 2 hours later. I'm like, well, there goes that idea.
Here's a question for you guys. What's the most first-round picks a team has given up for a goaltender in the last 5 years?
3.
I don't know who it was for. But Columbus did that one year where they swept Tampa, where they gave up like 4 first-round picks for I think it was for Panarin, Duchesne, Ryan Dzingel. I think it was for Duchesne and Dzingel. They gave like 3 or 4 first-round picks between Ottawa and Carolina. I want to say.
No, I remember those Columbus teams. They had like that
Columbus
stretch.
team.
They were really good, and that core just like fell
Disappeared.
apart.
It was after they lost in the second round. They just they dipped. They took their shit and dipped.
Yeah. Panarin went to New York. Just Bobrovsky
Duchesne went to
Florida.
Nashville. Duchesne went to Nashville. Dzingel went back to Carolina.
Was Cam Atkinson the only guy of that core on that team after that offseason?
After that, at that point, yes, and then was Boone Jenner, the current captain. Yes, he's the last one.
Yeah.
So, and then Bobrovsky that offseason went to Florida.
Went to Florida. And
Yeah.
it turned out pretty well.
Turned out pretty well.
Yeah, you win a cup.
But if you didn't sign Shesterkin to that contract, how much do you think you would have gotten for him? Let's play the theory game.
I think you get at least 2 first-round picks, an NHL-ready player, and a
3.
couple prospects that with high potential.
I guarantee you get 3.
Yeah, probably.
I guarantee you get 3
I was
first
being
round
conservative
picks.
with it, but no, you're right. We probably get 3 first-round picks.
Because he's one of the best goaltenders on the planet to not have at that time to not have a major extension.
I don't think
Absolutely.
a team like Toronto, who's never going to know that hump. You think they wouldn't move heaven and earth to bring in a goaltender like Igor Shesterkin?
Oh God, Toronto, absolutely they would have.
Yeah, they'll
They
bring it in
still
for
might.
that. They still. Well, I don't know if they can. They can't bring in Igor now because everything. But like,
It's gonna
Igor
it'll
a cheap
cost them
contract
players.
with that core. Oh my God,
It'll
That would
cost them players, but Toronto can find a way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Toronto
always-
can find a way to do it.
Yep,
They always will.
They always will. All right, boys, we got to take a quick commercial break. So, it's our network mandated break. When we come back, we'll talk some New Jersey Devils. Then we'll talk some NHL and how drunk the wild card race in the East and the West, respectively, will likely be towards playoff time. Stay tuned and stand by for more. The Three Rails Metro Hockey Podcast on the No Credentials Required, which is a No Credentials Required podcast on the Belly Up Sports Media Network. Hey everyone, it's Ryan from No Credentials Required to talk to you about one of our newest partners at Belly Up Sports, SeatGeek. Yeah, live sports is great on television, but the feeling of being at the arena is a priceless experience. That's why our friends at SeatGeek are there to help you find the best tickets at the best prices. Not only can you get tickets to sporting events, but you can also get tickets to concerts, comedy shows, musicals, and more. Search for your desired event now at SeatGeek.com, enter promo code BellyUpSports at checkout, and you save $20 off your first purchase. SeatGeek. Life's an event. We have the tickets. Fellas, I'm headed down to New Jersey on Sunday.
Oh, nice.
Taking my niece to her first NHL game.
Oh,
She's
fun.
become a big hockey fan. She's a New Jersey Devils fan. For Christmas, she got a Jack Hughes jersey. And for this Christmas, I'm going to take her down to her first NHL game. And guess what I'm going to use? I'm going to use SeatGeek. And you know what I'm going to use? I'm going to use that promo code BellyUpSports at checkout. Save myself $20 off my order of $50 or more because, of course, NHL tickets are naturally expensive. But it's not just NHL. But it's not just the NHL tickets, right? It's not just NHL tickets. We got basketball tickets, NBA, college football playoff. I'm sure there's still tickets available. NFL playoffs. Pretty sure there's tickets available for those games. But again, is that handsome bearded man voiceover and that voiceover said, not you, Staniel, not you, Staniel. Said in the voiceover, it's not just sports events. You can also, it's not just sports. You can also.
We just broke Staniel.
I just broke him. We can call him a sociopath.
Ruined the whole show. Show over. The show's done.
But it's not just sporting events. You can also use them for concerts, for shows, for comedy stand-up acts. Your favorite comedian comes to town. Use SeatGeek and use the promo code BellyUpSports at checkout. Save yourself $20 off your order of $50 or more.
Save $20 when you go to a Big Time Rush concert, if they still exist.
They are. They're doing Big Time Rush on ice.
All right, that just answered that question and killed that joke.
Yep.
R.I.P. Neil Peart. Greatest drummer ever. All right.
Yes.
Arguably. All right. Let's go to the Garden State.
You confused two different bands there, Ryan. You confused Big Time Rush
Yeah.
with Canadian band Rush.
I heard Big Time and Rush. I'm just going with it.
I just thought Rush. That's all. I think it meant like as a Big Time Rush concert, like as in huge Rush concert, not the band. Anyway, the joke died.
Wait, was I right? I always just assume I'm wrong.
That joke is dead.
We tried.
All right, New Jersey Devils. Let's talk about the last month or so. Well, let's talk about the last month of the New Jersey Devils. They set an NHL record in December, fellas. They set an NHL record by holding 7 opponents in a row to less than 20 shots on goal. They held the Maple Leafs to less than 20 shots on goal, although they lost in overtime in that game. Los Angeles Kings, Chicago Blackhawks, St. Louis Blues, Columbus Blue Jackets, although they lost that game, and had consecutive shutouts against the Pittsburgh Penguins and Brian's New York Rangers, but they got us about a few nights ago in New York, but can't win them all.
Broken clock's right twice a day.
That's true, it is. But according to Bill, I saw this tweet from Bill Spalding on December 28th, which was the night after the Devils had their streak broken by the rapscallions known as the Carolina Hurricanes, who had 31 shots on goal, but still lost to the New Jersey Devils 4-2.
Those jerks in Carolina.
Those
Bunch
jerks.
of jerks.
They're not good Ontario boys. Their 7 games before they went on their roadie, they were 6-1. They were scoring 3.5 goals a game. They were allowing 1.29 goals per game. They were 4 for 13 on the power play, 14 of 15 on a penalty kill, while averaging 29 shots and allowing only 18 shots on goal in that 7-game span. And then they went on their roadie. Lost 5-2 against Carolina in a game that they should have won, but the referees saw it in their brilliance to award a match penalty to Timo Meier for supposedly going after the knee of one of the Carolina Hurricanes, who should have been nominated for an Oscar for his acting job because he was back on the ice minutes later, skating like the wind. I believe it was Martin Necas. Who Timo Meier supposedly injured, and I put in air quotes here, injured, because Necas was back on the ice, skating like the wind, just a moment or two later. Then they went on the West Coast, lost in Anaheim, shutout in Los Angeles before the Fires, lost in San Jose in the final minutes of that game, beat the Kraken in Seattle. In the Cryptid Cup. Win the Cryptid Cup. Woohoo! Cryptid Cup is ours, baby. They conclude their road trip in MSG with an OT loss. Got a point out of it. That's okay. Got a point out of it against the New York Rangers. Played good for the first 2 periods, and then unfortunately outplayed in the 3rd period and in overtime. Then they go home, back at home against the Tampa Bay Lightning, who have had their number for quite a while. All right. Go up 2-1. They allow a soft goal because of clearance, hit the referee, which allowed the Lightning to tie the game. And by the way, during this whole stretch, Mr. Backstrom has been the absolute backbone of this team. Absolute backbone. This was at first when that trade was announced. We need to bring in a goaltender Jacob Markstrom. Serviceable goaltender, kind of streaky, been kind of up and down the last couple of years, but this team has turned into a defensive dynamo. And I talked about that streak where they allowed 20 shots on goal or less. This is in today's NHL. You don't see that. You saw that back in the 90s. I mean, not even the 90s teams that if they found a choke point and they played to their advantage. Also not so bad having the greatest goaltender of all time. Being in your back pocket, acting as a 3rd defenseman, which is why we have that trapezoid today. I call it it's called the Brodeur trapezoid. I'm going to coin it that. Truly is the Brodeur trapezoid because you can't go to the corners to fish it out if you're a goaltender anymore, which is a stupid rule in today's NHL. But I digress. But it's just amazing that this team today in today's NHL set that modern day record. Since 1959. So we've been keeping shots as a stat since 1959, 1959. So approximately 65 years. And this is the first time it's happened where a team has allowed in 7 consecutive games 20 shots on goal or less in every game. And it's happening in 2024, 2025. Not in 1994, 95. Not in 1999, 2000, not even in 2002, 2003. And the reason why I reference these years is because these are the years the New Jersey Devils won the Stanley Cup. With 3 different coaches, by the way. Jacques Lemaire, Larry Robinson, Pat Burns. May he rest in peace. Gone too soon. But during that road trip, they had a lot of defensive lapses. With the exception of the Seattle game, although the Seattle game, but Jacob Markstrom made some amazing saves in that Seattle game to keep it close, to keep the Devils up in front. Did the same thing against Tampa Bay Lightning, but they got to figure out their backup situation. Jake Allen, the backup situation has been kind of squiffy. Jake Allen has had some rough seas as a backup in net. Some rough games, but Jacob Markstrom, he's worth every penny. He's worth every penny. He was worth the first round pick. They're gonna give up in the draft this year, which will be somewhere in the 20s. Hopefully, it's number 32 to the Calgary Flames. That's the optimist in me is saying it's number 32 in the first round. It's pick number 32 because hopefully they'll win the Stanley Cup. I mean, amongst us three, the Three Rails Metro Hockey Podcast brethren, I think I'm the only one who can really say right now that this team is playing to their potential. We saw glimpses of that 2 years ago.
Yay.
When had that 13-game winning streak in November. They went on to beat the Rangers in the first round, lose those bunch of jerks in Carolina in a gentleman's sweep. Last year, injuries upon injuries upon injuries upon defensive lapses, which cost us all defensive lapses, which led to bad goaltending, which led to Lindy Ruff being ceremoniously tossed out on his keister in March.
And his
which was
receding hairline.
Yep. And now he's in Buffalo. Tried to warn you, Buffalo.
Or Buffalo. At least they have the Bills.
And then Travis Green. At least they have the Bills.
Thank God for that.
Although they play in Orchard Park. Let's be fair.
Still Buffalo.
Yeah, whatever. But getting back to the Devils.
Screw geography.
See,
yeah, the
I
New
tell
York Giants,
people that
New York.
I'm a New York Jets fan. I tell people all the time, screw geography. It's still in the New York metro market. I don't care. But they got some pretty tough games ahead of them. They got Florida tomorrow night at home. And don't forget, this team swept Florida in a back-to-back series in Florida in November. And not only beat them, but beat them handily. Remember the final scores of those games were like 6-2 and 4-1 each against the reigning, defending, undisputed Stanley Cup winner champions, Florida Panthers.
Brock Lesnar!
Wrong sport, buddy. But they got
you suck then.
Florida on Tuesday, Toronto on Thursday. Their first game against Philadelphia on Saturday afternoon. Then they have another matinee on Sunday. I'll be there against Ottawa, a very surprising Ottawa team. We'll talk about them in the next segment. So they got a tough stretch ahead with Florida, Toronto, Philly, Ottawa, who right now, as we record, is at a point behind the wild card. Boston, Montreal, who again another team that is 2 points behind in the wild card.
Unfreaking believable.
We'll talk about them some more. Then they're at Philadelphia. They got home and home on Monday and Wednesday in Philadelphia, and then we're coming up on the Four Nations break, which is the week after. So a little bit of a tough stretch ahead with against an improved Ottawa Senators team, former head coach Travis Green, interim head coach Travis Green. Philadelphia, who's hanging around. Montreal has points in 10 out of their last 12 games.
Unfreaking believable.
And this was after they were shelled by the Pittsburgh Penguins 9-2 in mid-December. This is incredible. So, tough road ahead for the Devils. I see Jack Hughes and Jesper Batt doing their thing. Stefan Nason set a career mark in goals in December. I think his if we go to hockeyreference.com.
By the way, breaking news, by the way.
Hang on. I got the singer.
Florida currently is now officially the Philadelphia Flyers are 5th in the metro, are 6th in the metro. The Islanders are last.
Oh.
The Flyers just beat Florida 4-3 today.
Oh, this is how we're while we're recording. So
back to you, Ryan.
Getting back to Stefan Nason. His career high in goals was set. He set a career high in goals last year in Carolina with those bunch of jerks with 14.
Those bunch of jerks.
He's got 17 in 45 games for New Jersey Devils this season, including the game winner against Tampa Bay on Saturday night on the power play, which is tremendous. So Sheldon Keefe, initially I had some doubts about him being hired by the Devils.
He's a good coach.
He's a good coach. He's a good coach. He's got this team. He's got the special teams working both in the power play and the penalty kill. Jack Hughes, I mentioned this in the last recording. Jack Hughes is playing penalty kill. He's their arguably the top star. He's playing penalty kill. He's playing not only penalty kill minutes, he's playing very key penalty kill minutes. And he's doing very well. And this New Jersey Devils team is very solid on special teams on both sides of the puck, which us Devils fans have been waiting for basically forever. So as a team, they're third in the power play, and in penalty kill, they're trying to find their penalty kill percentage. I can't seem to find it. Dang it. But they're third in the power play rate this season, 28.3%. You know who's right in front of them? Winnipeg, who is first in the West, I believe. Yep, they're tied for first in the West. And Detroit, who has won the last 7 in a row. They're starting to figure it out. So the Devils team got a little bit of tough road ahead of them. Next about five games or so, but I'm optimistic they can win a few of these games and keep on pace with the surprising Washington Capitals, a team that would not die.
My God.
In the Metropolitan standings. So that's from the Garden State. Let's talk about the NHL, boys. Wild card.
Years ago when the
Screw
Capitals
this conference, man.
Sorry, Brian, you were saying?
Remember 2 years ago when the Capitals were about to rebuild?
Yeah.
That was fun.
Pepperidge Farm remembers. That was fun.
Yeah.
But look at Ovechkin. Ovechkin's only 23 behind Wayne Gretzky now?
28?
Something like that? No, he was less than 25 a few days ago.
Oh, really? This comes to show how much I've been paying attention.
He's currently at 873.
So how many Capital games we're going to get on ESPN in the next couple months? I think they're going to flex
good Lord.
Every game they're going to flex to get McDonough that call.
Yeah, he is currently 22 behind Wayne Gretzky. I'm sorry, 21 behind Wayne Gretzky, 22 to set the record.
I don't like Sean McDonough as a play-by-play. I think
no. Bob Wischusen's better.
Bob Wischusen is so much better for
Love
hockey.
me some Bob Wischusen.
Mm-hmm.
We are a Bob Wischusen stan podcast.
Yes.
Love you, Bob. All right.
Like
wild card. Some of the Eastern Conference wild card picture, right? So right now,
unbelievable.
Yeah. So right now, the Eastern Conference looks like this: Atlantic Division, Toronto, Florida, Tampa Bay, first, second, third. Metropolitan Division, Washington, Jersey, Carolina. Then we have the wild card situation. Granted,
there somewhere.
Boston and Tampa Bay are flip-flopping back and forth when it comes to the wild card. However, Tampa Bay has 4 games in hand over the Boston Bruins with 49 points. Boston 47
confuses the crap out of me because
Boston confuses me too.
Yeah.
Boston is like very top heavy, and the rest of their team is just garbage.
But a point behind Boston in that first wild card spot, the Columbus Blue Jackets, who are 7-2-1 in their last 10. They've won their last 4 in a row. They've only played 43 games, so they got 2 on hand again compared to Boston.
You know, I think it'd be a cool story. It'd be a cool story.
It'd be a cool story if they win the playoffs.
It'd be a cool story if they won the whole damn thing.
Oh my God,
it would be a cool story.
That'd be like, I would cry.
They'd make movies about it.
Oh yeah,
they make movies about it. Yeah,
totally.
That'd be like you couldn't write a script better than that if they won the whole cup.
And they've got a stadium series game coming up.
Yeah,
about a month or so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're playing Detroit, who is equally Detroit. And right, speaking of Detroit, so right after Columbus is Ottawa. They're a point behind Columbus at 45 points. Right behind them, 3 teams are behind Ottawa with 44. The Detroit Red Wings, who have won their last 7, who have won their last 7 in a row.
About time.
The Montreal
Thank
Canadiens,
God.
Montreal Canadiens, who, as I mentioned before, have a point in 10 of their last 12 games. And behind them is the Pittsburgh, and well, actually, we'll tie with them, the Pittsburgh Penguins.
I don't get Pittsburgh. I
No,
really don't.
I don't understand
Bringing
Pittsburgh
Kyle
either.
Dubas, you don't do anything. Like that should be the sign of the rebuild. Was bringing in Dubas.
Yeah, that should have been a sign of a rebuild.
Dubas,
But look what they're
I'm
doing.
sorry.
No.
Dubas is not a great general manager. I'm sorry, but
Based off
Dubas
what's
just
on Pittsburgh, I don't disagree with you.
no. Dubas is the epitome of the kid that just wants to keep everyone happy, and so he throws millions of dollars at the wrong players, the wrong guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we can all probably agree that Marner and Nylander should have been traded.
Oh my God! Yep,
Absolutely.
100%.
Absolutely. So the reason why he didn't trade him is because, like, I want to keep the core together. It's like, well, you screwed your team long term because of those contracts. You can't pay anyone because you signed not only Matthews and Tavares to $11 million per year deals, you signed Marner to a massive contract, you signed Nylander to one too, and you signed Morgan Riley, your top defenseman, to a 7-year contract. You're screwed. You're screwed.
Mhm.
Couldn't have happened to a better franchise.
Yeah, no.
So continuing on,
I'm just a
Right,
chill guy who likes to cause chaos.
he does, he really does. He's Professor Chaos. He's our Professor Chaos. Right behind right behind those 3 teams, as Dan updated us, the Philadelphia Flyers, 43 points. Right behind them, with 42, the New York Rangers. Right behind them, 41 points, the New York Islanders. And then in last place in the conference, the Buffalo Sabres.
Here's the
47
thing.
points.
Here's the thing. A majority of these teams in the Eastern Conference could all make the playoffs if everything just goes completely right.
I mean, Buffalo went on after they broke their losing streak, went on a little bit of a heater.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like every single one of these teams in this, every single one of these teams can make the playoffs, which is the most infuriating part about this season. From like, you like myself and Brian's perspective is that we're fans of teams that realistically, if they get in the playoffs, they can go toe to toe with anyone.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's Ryan, who's the Devils fan, who's just sitting up there on top.
Look at
Hi, how you doing?
Look at these peasants down there fighting for a wild card spot.
No, I don't say that because I know if the Devils have getting the struggle bus at the wrong time, they're going to wind up in the wild card.
Yes, absolutely. Like,
I know this league.
Each team is a 4-game winning streak, or a 5-game winning streak, or a 5-game losing streak away from flip-flopping for different spots, except Washington for some reason, which I don't get them because
they're the zombies that won't die.
they're the zombies from Thriller. Is Vincent Price still with them? Is that a bad reference, Vincent Price?
Nope.
Brian,
I got it.
did you get that?
Nope.
I just did the
You
the
didn't get
Thriller
Vincent
dance.
Price?
Nope.
I just did a Thriller dance, and you.
So Vincent Price did the voiceover for Michael Jackson's Thriller back in
Oh, did he really?
Yes,
back in
he
the
did.
early 80s. Yes.
Got
Vincent
it.
Price.
I know that.
Yeah, so there you go.
Said video directed by John Landis.
Interesting.
Yes. All right, moving over to the Western Conference Central Division. Winnipeg is on top. 3 points behind them, Minnesota. 3 points behind Minnesota. And coming off an 8-game heater themselves, the Dallas Stars with 55. Pacific Division, Vegas, followed by Edmonton, followed by the Los Angeles Kings. Speaking of teams that won't die,
The
we
Kings
thought
are
would rebuild.
The Kings are good, which is
Kings are good. They shut out the Devils.
between the two teams that, like, between Washington and Los Angeles, out of the two teams that you can definitively say, like, hey, they won't die or they're just good.
Yeah.
Los Angeles is good.
They are good.
Washington
I
won't
have to
die.
admit it. No.
And then there's Vancouver, which
We're getting to them. We're getting to them.
oh, good
Right
Lord.
behind wild card currently, Colorado, 53 points. They're only 2 points behind Dallas for that third spot.
Amazing how they're
in
there.
Minnesota,
Yeah.
7-2-1 their last 10. Then after that, there's a little bit of a buffer. Vancouver, 48 points, followed by Calgary with 47. Speaking of teams that kind of came out of nowhere, followed by St. Louis, who's on the new coach bump with Jim Montgomery as their head coach, followed by Utah with 43 points. So Utah is only 5 points out of a wild card spot, followed by Anaheim, 41 points. I know, I'm surprised. I'm just as surprised as you. And then we got kind of a buffer. Then we got kind of a buffer after that, followed by Seattle with 39, Nashville, the most disappointing team in the league by far.
Let's be honest. We all saw that
33
com- We all
points.
saw that coming, right? When they signed those free agents.
I was kind of sure that with all those signings that Nashville made in the offseason, they were going to at least try to contend for the Central Division.
I've just
No.
seen teams do
Fell
this so many
flat on their
times. I'm like,
face.
this is gonna blow up in their face. I've seen it, so you can't build teams like this. It's not.
Are
gonna
you
work
saying
out.
are you saying that as a Rangers fan? You've seen this movie too many times?
Yes, and someone who's watched baseball.
I
watched
signed
San Diego
Andrew
Padres.
Ladd to a 7-year contract at 34 years old. How do you think I felt in
Wait, didn't they go-
2016?
Didn't they go to a couple of conference finals with Andrew Ladd as one of their key pieces?
No,
Okay,
They
who am I thinking of
didn't.
then? Okay, anyway.
Chicago.
Okay. Well, I know he won a couple Stanley Cups
He
with
won
Chicago.
a cup.
Speaking of,
He won a cup with Chicago. He won a cup with Carolina in 2006.
wow, that's interesting.
How
so
I know that, I don't know.
Na- Nashville 33 points, followed by San Jose with 32 points, and then the bottom of the heap, Chicago Blackhawks 30 points. So I mean, the Eastern Conference is going to be. I saw a tweet by John Buccigross about the wild card situation in the Eastern Conference. And I replied to him in a tweet. I said, the Eastern Conference is going to be a cannonball run all the way to the finish. It's going to be great. The Western Conference, not so much, because you see a lot of separation between the bottom 3-4 teams and the other 6 teams that are still in the wild card hunt currently.
Mm-hmm.
And Seattle has talent. That's the Kraken have a lot of talent. It's just they need the right coach.
Yeah.
I don't know if Bausma is the right coach, but it seems to me he has something going there in Seattle. It's just going to take a little bit.
To be fair,
To be fair,
he was their minor league coach in Coachella Valley
yes.
before he was promoted after they fired Dave Haxtell.
Yes, which I don't know how the hell Hackstall lasted that long, but anyway, I digress. The Kraken,
I know why, because he made a playoff because Seattle went to the playoffs in 2023,
and upset the Avalanche.
upset the
Yeah.
Avalanche in the defending Stanley Cup champion at the time, the Colorado Avalanche, took the Stars to 7 games in the Central Division Final.
I think I
Which-
tweeted out after that series, the Kraken are going to be one of the most fun teams over the next 5 years.
The Kraken have really
Horrible looking back on it.
The
Cold
Kraken
takes
have
exposed.
the
Oh, yeah.
Kraken have Matty Beniers, Joey Decord, Jarrett McCann, Brandon Tanev. They have good talent on that team. It's just for some reason they just Kako's there. They have talent.
You know what's funny about that Kako Capo being in Seattle? It's unfortunate that they don't play that they don't play the Rangers again this season,
I know.
because what's that?
I know it sucks. I would've loved to
Because
see it.
I was gonna say something about this on this program. If Kako Capo scored a goal against the Rangers in a Kraken uniform, I was gonna go out and buy his jersey, his Kraken jersey, and wear it to the next Devils game.
Oh.
I would go to, just because for funsies, for
Can I
lols.
make a
He
bad
would have.
joke?
He would 100% would have scored. He probably would have got a hat trick when he played us.
Can I make a really bad joke? No, I'm not gonna do it. I can't do it.
Yeah, you can't leave us like
I
that.
had it.
can't
I
do
had
it.
it ready. I had it ready too. I had the element ready too, but that's okay. That's all right. So,
I
save
can't
it for
do
when we
it.
don't save it for the green room. But in the meantime, we've gone a little bit over time. Which is fine. It's about 10:05 Eastern. I'm getting ready for bed. But before we do that, before we end our recording for tonight, let's give the guys some plugs. Let's see where we'll go here. So Brian, where can people find you?
You can find me, as always, on Twitter at BrianPG1016. You can find me with my other show, the 3010 Podcast. I do my co-host, Nate. We have a show coming out tomorrow recapping NFL Wild Card weekend. A lot of good stuff going on there. And you can find all my writings at bellyupsports.com. Notre Dame debriefings coming out. Big game on Monday. Let's hope.
My nightmare college football playoff scenario. Notre Dame versus Ohio State in the championship. Oh, God. Mr. Smooth.
Hi, how you doing? Ladies and
hey.
gentlemen?
Hey,
Good
hello.
to see you. But wait, there's more. You can find me at Staniel Smooth and at Time to BS Podcast on Twitter and Instagram. You can also subscribe to the channel at Time to BS with Staniel Smooth. You can find my show and all of the other 3 shows that I do have. Time to BS with Staniel Smooth, Seahawks Sessions, BS Sessions, and the Staniel Smooth Show on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. Subscribe, fools. Anyway.
Meanwhile, you can find No Credentials Required. By the way, show announcement for the OG show. We're moving to Tuesdays at 6:30 p.m. Starting on the 14th, which is tomorrow. So as of this recording, you can find us on the OG show Tuesdays at 6:30 and the regular show on the regular Saturday show 10 a.m. Eastern on Saturdays, the Saturday brunch edition. Always a good time with me and Dustin, who is also on the Seahawks Sessions podcast with Mr. Smooth. But in the meantime, you can also find No Credentials Required on Facebook.com/NoCredsREQ, Twitter, Instagram, and the soon-to-be banned TikTok at NoCredsREQ, and YouTube.com/@NoCredsREQ. On the podcast side, subscribe to the podcast wherever you podcast, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker, Amazon Music, iHeart, TuneIn, and Pandora. And don't forget to get yourself notified on Twitter, still refuse to call it X, and on YouTube. That way you know when show announcements go up and when recordings of this show go up with my glorious co-hosts who also love New York Metro NHL hockey just as much as I do. But in the meantime, we're going to get out of here. Thanks for joining us on the 3 Rails Metro Hockey Podcast, a No Credentials Required podcast, which is also presented to you by the Belly Up Sports Media Network. For Brian, for Staniel, I'm Ryan McCarthy. Don't forget to keep your head up, mind the gap, and watch out for loose pucks in the corners.
The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.